Leaving the bar, Pedro decides to take Juan home because he drank too much, and as they were on their way, the song sounded. That song Juan had dedicated to Maria when they became boyfriends, and by his cheek rolled a tear. At that moment, the radio host opened the section called Dedicate a Song. Between the pain and effects of alcohol, Juan took the phone and in the dark marked with effort to dedicate his song for the last time. In a drunken state. Miss, put on me the song Say You Won't Let Go. Put it on one last time, please, Juan said. We're here to please you, sir, the conductor said. Who's the lucky one? Say her name and she'll hear it. Between sobs and drying his tears from his eyes, he said very timidly, Maria, it's for Maria, if that's her name, Juan said. Maria, how lucky you are. What luck since you have two galanes that dedicate the same song to you. I hope you're listening to us, Maria, the conductor said. Thank you, Juan said. It was the last word that came out of his mouth before dropping the device and entering a murky depression, thinking who might be the other who knew that song. He sung in such a profound way to be able to take over and dedicate it publicly. However, he didn't know that behind the screen was his song. All the way was like this, silent, empty, and not a single echo that is noted and made a noise in the least. Pedro turned off the engine in front of Juan's home, and he was able to open the door even with tears running down his cheeks like a river without cause. Opening the house, he was paralyzed for a few minutes, observing a photo of Maria and him giving each other a passionate kiss on one of his romantic dates. That was standing on the furniture of the room, accompanied by a candle and a pearl necklace that she always wore with her. He sat down for a couple of hours next to the photo, apprehended it in 1,000 ways, squeezed his against his grieving chest very tightly, and fell asleep trying to relive that moment and be able to be with her for another second, feeling her honey kisses and her essential beauty, imagining it would have happened if he hadn't left. Will we be still together? Will she be my wife? At that moment, he woke up immediately, and with Maria in mind, he still began to pick up his things and pack up while calling Pedro and telling him that he would contact the coyote that had passed the other time. Why? Didn't you miss your home? Pedro said. My home is no longer, Pedro. There is nothing to do if she's not by my side. She's gone, Juan said. I understand you, friend. If what's that you want, I won't object to, Pedro said. I will wait for you here, Juan whispered. 2 hours passed, and in that a very brilliant spotlight illuminated through the window the whole house. I'm coming, Juan shouted. He opened the door as he could and took out of his bags at once at whatever it took. He was determined to start over. This time he wasn't afraid of anything. He just wanted to get out of there running away. In that, he heard that Pedro greets a very young boy and discreetly turns to see him trying to tell him something with his eyes. Pablo, good to see you back here, Pedro said. I say the same thing, Pedro. As soon as my mom died, I had to take care of everything by myself, since my dad never managed to recognize me. What more, he doesn't even know about my existence, Pablo said. In that, he gets out of the bag, Juan, and comes running up with Pablo and says, I'm your father, Juan said. I don't care who you are, Pablo said. You have to believe me, please, Juan said. A father is not only the one who begets, he's the one who advises and accompanies you, recognizes you, and loves you. You don't have a single fatherly bone in you, Pablo said. While Juan was assimilating these words, he felt a creepy shiver that swept through every particle of his body. He had not thought that there really was nothing for him on that ranch. As he could look up and become strong, he told the coyote he wouldn't stop for anything until they got there. The path was somewhat stressful, both because of what happened with Pablo and because the path had changed radically since he last crossed. They communicated with the person who would receive them when they arrived in Tijuana. Few hours later, they were already in Tijuana.